Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Ammar Elm, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to be joined by Andrew Pierce, founder of Bounce Resilience, a company at the intersection of performance psychology, leadership training, and human resilience. Andy brings over a decade of experience of helping people recover, adapt, and thrive under pressure. His story isn't just about business, it's about purpose, grit, and what it really takes to lead when it matters most.
Oh,
Andy, how are you today? Welcome to
uh,
Founders Future.
yeah, doing very well. Happy to be here.
I'm excited to have you. I always like to start from the beginning. So take us on a trip down memory lane to before you started your company, Bounce Resilience. And I know now you started IBOUNCE Up Inc. as well. So before you started those two, what were you doing at the time? And then what was really the motivation behind starting the companies?
Yeah, so this goes back a ways. So I was in college and I had gotten really into big wave surfing. And I noticed that a lot of really fit, strong people didn't like big wave surfing. These were
Mm,
surfers that were really good, but they didn't like going out when the waves got big. And I was like, what is the difference? Why aren't these people willing to go and do this thing, right?
yeah.
And so I realized that it was the mind. It was the mindset that they had. They put limits on themselves. And so, anyways, I got really into big wave surfing. I got into studying the mind. I got my bachelor's degree in psychology, and then I got my master's degree in sport and performance psychology to help
Awesome.
me understand how to control my thoughts, to help me perform at my best. And I realized that a lot of people don't have these strategies and skills. And
Mm,
so as I learned these strategies and skills, I realized that a lot of companies don't have these same things that you need to be successful. And
yeah.
that's what got me into the field. And then the last 10 years, I've been working for the Army and the military, teaching mental performance strategies to people in high stakes environments, mostly with special operations soldiers. And that's what got me into it. And really, that
Yeah.
got me into to this point. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. What was the motivation behind starting a company around that? A lot of people who go in your field typically don't go and start their own organizations, helping organizations and helping the army do this. So I'm curious, what was your thought process there?
Yeah, working for the Army, I was a contractor and I learned all these incredible skills and strategies teaching in the military. And then starting my own company with Bounce Resilience, the motivation really was to help give these people that are in high stress environments the skills and strategies needed to be able to perform at their best with consistency. That's really all what it's about and the motivation behind it. So
I
it's
love that.
been, yeah, it's been a journey, that's for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine it. Let's dive a little bit into that journey. Let's fast forward to today. To give the listeners more context into your company and specifically what you offer, who would you say your ideal customer is at Bounce Resilience? And then what are the different offers and services that you provide for them?
Yeah, so what we do is we teach mostly CEOs, executives, upper management, different strategies and skills to help them. So the ideal person would come to we do typically a full day course teaching the upper leadership in a company people that are and deal with stress. That's a big component to what we teach is how to manage and how to deal with stress when things get really difficult and give them different techniques to help them control this, right? So this has been the bread and butter of what we teach and the clientele that we work with. And so that being said, we work with all sorts of different CEOs, all sorts of different types
Yeah,
of executives across the board. So
I love that.
the ideal person, people that deal with stress in high stakes situations.
Yeah, powerful. So a lot of the people listening to this sound like they probably fit into that category. Are
Yeah.
there a couple tips that you can give us around how do you manage stress effectively? How do you make sure that your mindset and your thoughts are aiding you and empowering you towards where you want to go?
Oh, I love that question. So the first component to really helping us understand how our brain works and to manage the stress because stress typically comes from the way that we think about a situation. For
Mm,
instance, have you ever been in a situation where you felt no stress, but the person next to you was extremely stressed out?
yep.
What's the difference between you and the person next to you? It's one is not thinking to be as effective as they can, where the other person, when you're feeling no stress, you're like, oh, okay, your mind is in the right place. So
Yeah.
it starts really with the way we think about the things that happen to us. And so, first, becoming very aware of how I'm thinking, understanding, and
Mm,
being aware of my beliefs that I have about the situation.
yeah.
And so diving into your beliefs is really important for helping us understand how we think. Self awareness is a key component to really understanding the way that we deal with stress. So,
I love that so much. The first thing that came to mind, my earliest encounter with this was in high school when we had a math test and the girl sitting next to me was super stressed. And I'm just like chilling and I'm like, I'm relaxed, I'm poised, I'm calm, cool, collected. And I love what you're saying about beliefs and your thoughts and really being aware of that. I noticed for me what was beneficial is the analogy of the movie screen, where
mhm.
I'm in my mind, my thoughts are on a movie screen and I'm watching it and I'm just the observer. I'm not judging, I'm not attaching myself to the thought, I'm just seeing them flow by. Where do you think that, because I believe that a big part of it as well is exercise and the way that you move your body, because that can
Mhm.
change how you feel and your endorphins and all those different things. So, where does that come in when it comes to management of stress, when it comes to your mentality?
Oh, yeah. So having outlets for the stress too, right? Because there's some situations, it's like no matter how prepared you are and
Yeah.
how ready you are for a situation, it still creates a lot of energy within our system, within our body, our mind, the way our heart flows. Oftentimes when stress happens, our heart will start increasing, right? We experience the physiological effects of the stress. So something that's really important is to have a reset and there's
Mm,
many things that you can do, right? And the reset doesn't have to happen every single like hour or anything like that, but it's just something at the end of the day that you can do to reset the mind and body. And working out super helpful, right? Going on a short walk where you're just focusing your attention on your breath, right?
mm,
Or doing something that you really enjoy. Like maybe a lot of people like playing tennis or pickleball is huge right now. Those
yeah.
sports are really good because they take your mind away from the thing that's creating the stress, or actually the thing that's influencing the stress because we create stress in ourselves. But
Mm,
doing something like that will help you reset where your mind isn't focused on it and you can just reset the mind and body
yeah.
so your heart rate, the physiological effects of the stress will go away.
I love that. What are some of your personal favorite activities for resetting? What do you actually do?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one component that I do is I do a lot of diaphragmatic breathing.
Mm,
So it's really simple too. It's where you're breathing really slowly with the lower parts of your lungs. And it's something sometimes when I teach people, they will start to think it's hard. They're like, "Oh, it was difficult to do." I'm like, "Okay, then you're not doing it right." So it should be very relaxing. And you breathe in slowly and breathe out slowly with the basically your stomach.
yeah.
Because and I can get into the science of it real quick without getting too sciencey here. But what happens is underneath your lungs, you have a muscle called the diaphragm. That's why they call it diaphragmatic breathing. It runs underneath your lungs. And what happens is when you do diaphragmatic breathing, it targets a nerve called the vagus nerve that runs throughout your whole upper body. So when you do this breathing, the vagus nerve, its real job is rest and digest, but it resets. So it's very when you're doing this breathing, it's hard to experience the physiological effects of stress because its job is to eliminate the physiological effects of stress. So it's one
Mm,
of my favorite skills. And I'll do it sometimes at the end of the day before I get home. I'll sit in my car before I walk in the house especially if I had a ton going on and a lot of different things going on, because that happens and that's stressful because you have just so many things. And right before I go in the house for just a couple of minutes, I'll do a few deep diaphragmatic breaths. And I got kids, so then when I come into the house, I'm not bringing my stress to the family, which is a problem that a lot of people have.
100%. Yeah, I love that. I appreciate you breaking that down because I think that's a tool that people can go through their life and utilize at a high level. I try to, one of my favorite reset tools is taking a cold shower. I actually took one earlier
Mm.
today, and I do my best. It doesn't always happen. It didn't happen today, but I do my best to control my body and not let myself shake and do that diaphragmatic breath that you're saying and you're talking about.
Oh,
But
I love it.
I'm super curious. So you have the full day course. Are there any other offerings that you provide your clients?
Yeah, so as of right now, we have just the full day course where we are come in to a company
Got
and
it.
we usually it's about 3 hours in the morning, lunch, and then 3 hours in the afternoon. We I also do some coaching as well. So if after the end of the training or if even before they've learned about me, then I'll do coaching one-on-one coaching, which
Got it.
is about 3 months, and we work with them each for about an hour each week. So
Got
we have I don't do as many of those, but that's definitely something that I do. But our
it.
main focus is on the 1 day training, and then we can do it more than once a year so we can continually come back and go over different strategies.
Got
Yeah.
it. Very cool. Let's shift a little bit to the back end of the business. Help us briefly understand how do you acquire your customers? So when it comes to generating leads for organizations or leaders that are interested in this, what are you currently doing right now to bring in more leads?
Yeah, so this is one of the biggest challenge within most companies, right? Is finding the right clientele to come in and do these types of trainings
Yep.
because our trainings they're not cheap. They're a very niche type of training for
Yeah.
elite type of people. And so getting our name or our face in front of the right people is typically the biggest challenge. But what's interesting is when we get in front of the right people, we almost never get a no. It's always a yes because they see the value in the training. So what we've been doing more recently is been doing more podcasts, which are really helpful because people have reached out. There's several different companies that do executive trainings that we have worked with to get our face in front of different CEOs and executives. And so we have several different avenues for really getting in business, but that's the biggest thing is getting our doing our trainings so that people see the value in it and different
Yeah.
podcasts, things like this.
Yeah. So it sounds like really the bottleneck and the thing that will lead to the next phase of growth is cracking down on how to get in front of more people.
Yes, exactly. That's the goal, right? And the cool thing is we know our product works, it's proven, and we know that when we get in front of the right people, again, they always want it. They're like, we want you. Our
Yeah.
people need this because
Yeah.
stress is so huge. Everybody experiences it, and people don't have really good strategies to help them deal with their stress.
So let's say you were able to solve that problem. If you were to think of your future and you think of your vision 12 months down the line, or even 24 months down the line, what does that look like for your business? Are there any specific revenue targets, performance targets? Just paint me that picture in terms of what your vision is.
Yeah, so our goal is to do 2 to 3 or maybe even four. Four would be quite a bit, but about 3 different trainings every single month. So right
Okay.
now we're training a little less than once a month, but the goal is to get to about 3 or 4, which would give us really pretty incredible living wage where we're at.
Yeah.
That's really our goal.
And do you just do this in Hawaii or can you do this nationwide?
No, we'll actually go anywhere. I have a training coming up here in Honduras here in the next
Honduras,
couple of
like
months.
Latin
Yeah,
America?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So we'll go to anywhere in the world, which is pretty exciting. Yeah.
Come on.
Uh,
What an excuse to travel.
I know. Well, it's a win-win, right? For everybody. But yeah, we'll go anywhere in the US, anywhere outside, as long as things are in place that make it safe and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So three trainings per month, that's the vision. And then really the challenge is getting in front of more people and getting more lead flow. So I guess
Yeah,
that's what we're on here today.
exactly.
Let's Let me ask you a couple more questions when it comes to, because I have a lot of founders, a lot of business owners that listen to this, and their day to day can be extremely stressful, right? Obviously, as a business owner, you understand
Yep.
this. So we talked about the diaphragmatic breathing. We talked about the importance of having something like a reset. What are some other tools, strategies, techniques that people can actively implement right away to be able to manage their stress more effectively, to be able to be the person that's in a stressful situation and not stressed versus the person that is in a stressful situation and lets their stress overtake them?
Yeah, a couple things, right? The more prepared you are for a situation, it seems to be the less stress that people will tend to experience. Now, that's not always the case, right? Have you ever gone into a situation where you have fully prepared and you're still a little bit nervous, right? Or
Yeah,
a lot
100%.
nervous, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. In that situation, what tends to happen is people are putting their attention in the wrong places. Meaning, when it comes to stress, it almost always comes back to attention, where we're putting our attention,
yeah.
right? So when I'm going to, let's say you have a really high stakes meeting that you're going into, okay?
Yeah.
And you're thinking about how important it is you have to close them and the consequences of not closing them and how you've been working for months and months for this one deal. If your
Yeah.
attention is on all of that, you're going to be really stressed because you're thinking about anybody in that situation would probably be stressed in that way of thinking, right? So the trick is to focus on the task, right? To
Mm.
focus on the thing that you need to be doing. And those types of things, especially if you've prepared
Yeah.
properly,
Yeah.
tend to not be that stressful because you're like, oh, I'm fully prepared. I know exactly what I need to do. Now it's just time to do it and put my attention on that thing. So if you can really take control over your attention and focusing it on the task at hand, oftentimes the stress will be extremely decreased.
I
Okay.
love that.
So that's one of, honestly, if you look at understanding sports psychology or performance psychology of any kind, and I use sports psychology as that's like the field of study, and but it's applied towards business, right? So we can look at business as a sport. That's what it really always has come down to. In my 12 years of training, it's really come down to understanding attention and
Mm.
where you put that attention. And if you let your attention go to those things that are not going to be helpful about trying to focus in on the what you're, it's almost like you don't want to focus on the outcome. You want to focus on the task. And when
Yeah,
you do that, it's good things happen.
I love that so much. So because then when you do that, you're empowering yourself to focus on the controllables. What do I have in my control as opposed, which is the task, which is the execution of whatever that thing is. And I love what you said with attention, because something that I realized as you were saying this, whenever I am in those situations where I'm like, for example, let's say I'm going to give a speech in front of a bunch of people and I'm prepared, but I still feel those nerves before. Something that I've always done that's been helpful for me, and I think you'd agree with this, is that I would always frame it in my mind and tell myself, oh, that's not nerves, that's excitement. Because
Hmm.
a lot of times they feel very similar. But then when I switch it in my mind, all of a sudden I come with a different energy. You know what I mean?
Yep. Oh, that is 100% correct. So what you're doing is reframing
Mm,
the emotion that you're experiencing. And you're right. And nervousness and stress and excitement feel very similar.
yeah.
They do. They really do. And so if you reframe that to being like, oh, I'm not nervous. I'm not feeling stress. I'm feeling excitement. Let's go.
Let's
And now all of a sudden you're feeling in reinterpreting a negative emotion as a positive emotion, or what I would say is more important, an effective or an ineffective experience versus being an effective experience. Because negative emotions aren't necessarily bad. It's all about being effective versus ineffective.
I
So,
like that. I like that
yeah.
a lot. You've got a lot of wisdom to share. What's the best way for people to reach out to you?
So, our website is perfect. It has all our contact information. It's bounceresilience.com.
Awesome.
And so go to our website, check it out, and have us come. Yeah,
Awesome.
it's fun.
Andy, thank you so much for your time today. I wish we had a couple more hours blocked off, but unfortunately I have another meeting. But I
Yeah.
really appreciate this chat.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me. And it was really enjoyable. I love talking about this information. So it's good. Good
100%.
stuff.
If you're open to it, I'd love to get you back in for a part two.
Yes, I would love to.
Awesome. So that
Awesome.
wraps up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you're a business owner and you're looking to scale your business and really enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to discover how we can support your growth journey. Until then, keep on climbing.